Democrats have officially turned on their darling poster child, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, after an absolutely brilliant political move by Marjorie Taylor Greene caused AOC to lose support with the entire Democrat base. And the outrage is so severe that Democrats vandalized AOC's New York congressional office and also heckled her at a recent town hall, going as far as calling her a war criminal. This is just a continuation of the downward death spiral the Democrat Party is on. After they completely isolated all the moderates in their party, embraced all the radical ideologies, and now the radicals that control their party are engaging in violence against other Democrats because they're angry they're not radical enough. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You guys have been showing so much support on my videos. Every time you guys hit the like button, it does so much to help my channel grow, so thank you for that. Keep up the support. But let me show you guys the news from last night that AOC's New York office got vandalized by radical Democrats.
An investigation is underway after someone vandalized Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign office in the Bronx.
Yeah, someone dumped red paint on the roll-down gate with a sign that says AOC funds genocide in Gaza. Eyewitness News anchor Joe Torres is live in Westchester Square with more on that investigation. Joe.
Lauren, there is considerable and widespread agreement here in Westchester Square that no matter what political position you might have, your stance, what side of the aisle, if you're looking to make a statement, this is not the way to do it, through vandalism and the defacing of public property. According to police, it was about 12:40 this morning when this vandalism happened. And
so the reason this is happening to AOC is because she voted against a piece of legislation brought to the floor by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm going to break down why this was such an incredible political move by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her bill proposed that the United States stop sending $500 million a year to Israel to help support its Iron Dome. And that's the missile defense system that's supposed to stop all of these terrorist-launched rockets from hitting inside of Israel. Now, the reason this was so brilliant and why it's divided the entire Democrat Party is this. Marjorie Taylor Greene knows that the Democrats hate two things. They hate Israel and they hate MAGA. So what she did is propose a bill that was completely symbolic. It had no chance of ever passing. The point was to give the Democrats a chance to put their money where their mouth is. Are they going to vote in favor of this bill and be able to give that red meat to their base? Or will they oppose the bill simply because it was proposed by a MAGA congressperson? Do you stand with the people you're labeling Nazis and fascists and threat to the democracy because your hate for Israel is that strong? Or will they vote against it because that would be bipartisanship with Nazis, and that would destroy any moral high ground that you claim to have? But by doing that, you're voting to continue giving Israel money, who they also claim are committing genocide against the Palestinians. Again, this was totally symbolic. It had no chance of passing, but it forced these radical leftists to pick a side via their vote. And why all this outrage is happening is because AOC broke from the other extremely woke radical members of the Democrat Party, the Ilhan Omars, the Rashida Tlaibs, and voted against defunding Israel's Iron Dome, which has sent the pro-Hamas Democrats into a furious outrage. That's why the people who vandalized her office wrote that she's supporting genocide in Gaza through her vote. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene surely isn't the sharpest tack in the shed, but kudos to her for this brilliant move, which put the Democrats in a lose-lose position. Here is AOC's tweet defending her decision, and we're gonna look at a couple of these replies to really give you guys an idea for just how mad the radical left is. She said, Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel, nor in the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. Of course I voted against it. What it does do is cut off defense Iron Dome capacities while allowing the actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue. I have long stated that I do not believe adding to the death count of innocent victims to this war is constructive to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinion that has long been established. I remain focused on cutting the flow of U.S. munitions that are being used to perpetuate the genocide in Gaza. Now, here are some of the replies that illustrate how serious of a betrayal the Democrats are taking this. If you recognize that Israel is committing a genocide, why are you voting in favor of giving it $500 million for anything? The Iron Dome is what enables, protects, and guarantees Israel's genocide. It is as defensive as the building materials for Auschwitz. You knew it wasn't going to pass, so why not take a stand against military aid to Israel, even if sponsored by Green? Your progressive colleagues, far more vulnerable than you, stood on business against genocide. You gotta buck the liberal Zionist lobbyists in your ear. I didn't give the mass shooter guns and ammunition. I just bought him a bulletproof vest so no one could stop the massacre. AOC, this view is wrong. Bankrolling an apartheid state that occupies and genocides its neighbors is bad, even if those bankrolls go to missile interceptors. Israel should bear the full fiscal costs of its misdeeds, so it is less likely to pursue future invasions and occupations. Respectfully, Representative, you have just voted to send weapons to a regime that the ICJ and all human rights organizations have affirmed is an apartheid regime that is on trial for genocide in the ICJ, and the leaders of which are indicted by the ICC for crimes against humanity. This is not acumen or discernment, it's complicity, and I think you know that. So after being obliterated on X, AOC follows up with another defense of her actions. She says, Google is free. If you're saying I've voted for military funding, you are lying. Receipts attached. Drag me for my positions all you want, but lying about them doesn't make you part of the left. If you believe neo-Nazis are welcoming and operating in good faith, you can have them. And that's her referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene, basically saying she had two options: align herself with neo-Nazis in the name of screw Israel, or stand up against the bad MAGA neo-Nazis and support Israel receiving Iron Dome money. Here's some more hilarious responses to this tweet. You're not gonna go full John Fetterman, are you? I love how John Fetterman is just using common sense and simple rationality, and that is seen by the left as some sort of crime or insult. Another one says, are you calling the other left-leaning reps that you ally yourself with who voted correctly no on that bill neo-Nazis? You voted against an amendment that other socialist reps voted for to strip the funding from Israel's military. You then came on this website defending funding the Iron Dome. This is why you are being criticized. An account with the pride flag in the handle says, Rashida Tlaib voted to defund the Iron Dome. You didn't. Are you calling her a neo-Nazi? And now this final one really hammers in the point. You got cooked so hard that you united the entire left against you. Now stay with me here, we're almost done. This final post is really just the gloves coming off and turning against AOC. This tweet was retweeted by AOC's fellow radical left anti-American squad member, Ilhan Omar. The tweet says, all but 6 of the 435 voting members of the U.S. House of Representatives opposed Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment to strip $500 million in funding for Israel's missile defense system, part of the U.S. Defense Appropriations Bill. Green argued the U.S. already gives Israel $3.8 billion annually and shouldn't be funding the weapons of a belligerent nuclear-armed state. Here are the 5 members who voted yes alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene: Thomas Massie, Al Green, Summer Lee, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. Again, this bill never had a chance of passing. Almost every single Democrat voted against it. And because the Democrat Party has no leadership, no vision, no unified message, it's just dysfunction, the radicals have completely seized on that power vacuum and are dictating the direction of the party in real time. And this was a giant spit in the face to all of them that the majority of the Democrat leadership voted against it. But at minimum, they expected the most radical socialist leftist ones to vote for it, even as a symbolic stance that they support Palestine and are against Israel, believe that they're war criminals, and are committing a genocide. And AOC voting against that, even in a symbolic, irrelevant manner, shows them that she is not truly the radical Islamist socialist revolutionary she claims to be. She's now just another phony establishment Democrat who's in love with Israel. And that's why at this town hall, she got interrupted and heckled and called out for being a war criminal.
Very hard to defend and I don't know what you're doing about the genocide in Gaza. You're a war
I mean, give me more of that. I love watching the left cannibalize itself. The actual radicals, the ones that riot and burn down cities, firebomb Tesla dealerships, are now in charge of the party. And they're calling on their politicians who claim to be socialists, claim to hold the same radical ideologies as their base, to actually stand on the supposed principles they have. But they're finding out that the AOCs of the world, the Bernie Sanders, these are ivory tower socialists, white glove socialists. They talk about the wonders of socialism in their multi-million-dollar mansions and at fancy dinner galas, passionately and insincerely complaining about the system that has made them rich and famous, pretending to stand in solidarity with the working class by believing in destructive and ineffective ideologies that they would be completely immune from the consequences of. They espouse support for socialism because then it finally completes the Democrat trifecta of pretentiousness. They think they're smarter than you. They think they're better because they make more money than you. And now they can go to sleep comfortably knowing that they're more compassionate than you too. But it's funny because that moment reminds me of Zohran Mamdani, also in New York, getting pressed and almost attacked by a violent, radical pro-Palestinian protester who was furious that Zohran would even acknowledge Israel's right to exist as a country. Take a look.
What do you say? I have a question. What do you say about politicians that constantly reaffirm Israel's right to exist? Because people like me are constantly attacked by politicians for standing up for Palestine, and you are constantly defending the right for Israel to exist. My family is in Palestine right now, constantly under attack, and I'm hearing you say free Palestine, but also Israel has the right to exist. Don't be hypocritical. Don't be hypocritical and say free Palestine when you're also defending the right for Israel to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It does not have the right to exist. It's not your land to say it has the right to exist.
Woo!
Hey, that's what happens when you appeal to radical terrorists. Unless you are advocating for the complete destruction of Western civilization and all countries that support that way of life, you are not being radical enough. They don't understand when they take the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas stance, what their supporters hear and what they expect is the elimination of the country of Israel and eventually all of Western society. When they support socialist policies like free healthcare, government-run grocery stores, their supporters hear the eventual overthrow of capitalism, the execution of all wealthy people, and the seizure of their assets, their property, and the means of production by force. The people that they're appealing to are the same ones who are shooting at ICE officers for enforcing basic immigration laws that every country on planet Earth enforces. But amidst all this chaos, a clip emerged of AOC on CNN admitting that she actually does support Israel's right to exist, which has caused even more outrage.
A couple of years ago, there was a vote in Congress for funding for the Iron Dome, and you very publicly were torn, even emotional about your vote, which ultimately was present. You put out a statement saying that you opposed Iron Dome funding. Would you vote for it today?
And to be clear, at that time, I had voted present on the Iron Dome funding because of what we had seen previously that year in terms of Netanyahu's decisions, which also resulted in the bombing of several buildings that contain media agencies, civilian targets. However, I do think that in this present moment, when we discuss support for Israeli defense systems, that is absolutely legitimate. I think it is absolutely something that whose support we can
So you would vote yes to.
So while Democrats are holding on to their fake polls and wishful thinking that Donald Trump's approval rating is so underwater, the American people are so unhappy with him. Number one, it's not true. But number two, even if it was true, the Democrat Party is not providing a viable alternative. Every county in America besides two moved more to the right in this last election. And Democrats have decided the winning strategy is for their party to continue to move even further left. They see candidates like Zohran Mamdani do well in New York, which is one of the most radically liberal cities in America, full of people and immigrants who have no appreciation at all for capitalism, and extrapolate that very specific sentiment in a very specific area across the entire country broadly. Voters in Pennsylvania or Georgia aren't in favor of turning the United States into a socialist Islamic terrorist country. But the Democrats have no leadership who can take the wheel and stop the party from driving over the cliff if it's not already off the cliff. At this point, their leadership should just be making sure everybody has their seatbelts on so when the car crashes, not everybody dies. And even though the majority of Americans may not be in love with Donald Trump or his policies or the way he's implementing them, they see that he's serious and focused and effective in actually doing things. Making people choose between Donald Trump and the entire destruction of the United States isn't going to get Democrats the results that they want. They spent the entire last election cycle calling him a threat to democracy, a fascist, Adolf Hitler, and that didn't work because they saw the Democrats as even worse. And in just 7 months, the Democrat Party has already established itself as being even worse than it was when Kamala Harris was running. The internal dysfunction within the Democrat Party is truly something to behold. And the left cannibalizing Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries is one thing, but the left turning on its poster child, AOC, spells absolute destruction for the Democrat Party going forward. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoy watching the downfall of the Democrat Party, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.